Hey, good morning, guys. It is 7:30 a.m. Central Time, October 11th, 2018. This is Kyle. Um, Good morning, YouTube. Good morning, survivors of this non-consensual human experimentation. Good morning, people that don't know about directed energy weapon experimentation. Breaking news: the world is insane. So I just wanted to let everybody know that. I want to start this video off. I'm really shaky. My nervous system is very shaky. My brain's really traumatized from the microwave pulsing. I'm trying to keep up with my defense and cleansing and stuff like that, but it's still really tough. I've had a really weird week too. Some of it hasn't had to do with my targeting at all. But I want to go ahead and start out with this verse. Um, these were the last words that my grandfather spoke to my dad before he died. He died of a lymphoma, like a brutal lymphoma that just ate his body, cancer that just ate his body. Um, and I'm going to start with this verse and then say a prayer for the video because I've just been seeing things. I've been really depressed because, like, as all people who are targeted by this stuff know, this stuff is real. It's pretty complicated because it messes with people's heads. A lot of targets, like I'm sure I'm not right about everything that I'm perceiving is happening because my brain's being hit with microwaves, electromagnetic pulses, and this is a technology that we're on the other side of. So um, I've just been seeing a lot. Like I'll show you guys, but I recently had a let me get to that after the prayer. I'm going to start out with this verse, and then I'll talk about some of the things that have been going on recently with me. I hope all you guys out there are surviving. I hope you're finding comfort, with grounding in the fence, Dave Case's CD, passive shielding, supplements to boost, your energy and to make your body more healthy, your cells more healthy. I really hope y'all are finding, some comfort in surviving this and finding some happiness. There are a lot of great people in this world, a lot of very moral. The majority of people in this world, want their kids to be raised in freedom. They don't want people to be non-consensually experimented on. There's a lot of beauty and goodness in this world, and I hope that you guys are finding it. Sometimes, I'm isolated and I'm, pretty depressed from all this, and we're surrounded by negativity a lot. People that are targeted by this stuff, but I hope that you guys are reaching it. I'm reaching it a little bit. I am in contact with good people and other people who are going through this. They're just so beautiful, beautiful and intelligent. It hurts more sometimes to communicate with them because they're just such great people with so much to offer, and they're being brutally attacked in ways that a lot of the population doesn't understand. So the population, when somebody is like raped or murdered, that's a terrible crime, but people are being raped and murdered and tortured 24 hours a day. The evil has gone to another level. It's gone to another level, and people need to understand that, because if we don't stop it and everybody just accepts it or says, oh, that's not happening, it will get worse and worse and worse. And it is getting worse and worse and worse. Let me start out with this. I think you guys have probably read it by now, but it's Job 13, 15 through 18. Um, Though he slay me, yet will I trust in him, but I will maintain my own ways before him. He also shall be my salvation, for a hypocrite shall not come before him. Hear diligently my speech and my declaration with your ears. Behold, now I have ordered my cause. I know that I shall be justified. And I think it's a beautiful verse. It's a beautiful verse for people going through this, and the last words that my grandfather said before he died. And I do trust in God, even though things are very horrible, and I guess that will be my prayer. That will be my prayer at the beginning of this video, because I kind of want to, like yesterday, I had an appointment with my psychiatrist. This is the second time I've seen her. She's a really good person, just a really good person. She's not involved, she's not involved in working for this program or anything. She doesn't know about directed energy weapon experimentation. She has a very busy caseload, because I'm in this, like, I kind of go to psychiatrists that are they're basically about to start their career, so they're at the end of their kind of learning, and they, very very practiced, but they're about to go into their career, and this is kind of their last stop. um, it's really painful because she's such a good person. She doesn't know about this stuff. She really wants to help me, just like all my other psychiatrists, which I know that a lot of people, a lot of targets, we don't trust psychiatry. I've had a good experience, and maybe I've just been blessed with that, things a certain way, and kind of leaving off things that may be a little bit too much for them in the DSM. But I've had really good experiences. And what I really think, and I know some people will disagree with me, I just think that, like, I do need a psychiatrist. I do need a doctor, not because I'm not experiencing this, but because I am. And, this psychiatrist that I went to yesterday, she's just a really beautiful, really good person. She helps a lot of people. I think that there are a lot of people with depression and anxiety that psychiatry gives medication for. Now, I think there's over medication in our society, but I just think there's a real place for that, and she really does want to help people. Now, the problem is that she has a heavy caseload. Like, I've asked her to look at James Giordano and some things, and she doesn't look up this information because she's busy. She goes by the DSM and kind of what she knows, like what she's been taught, and what psychiatrists have been taught is that anybody talking about people, reading signals from their brain, or hitting them with microwaves, or being followed, the DSM says that that's schizophrenia. So this is a very huge social engineering problem, and it's not her fault. It's not her fault. She went through, psychiatry school. She's probably worked, in emergency rooms and stuff like that. She helps people that have organic mental illness. So yeah, I don't blame her, and I talk with her, and she did ask me, the really unjust thing that I feel, and it's not her fault, it's part of her job. But every time I go in there, like, I'm being pulsed with microwaves by contractors who are getting paid to do this, and then automated targeting stuff. And it's murdering me. It's hurting my brain so much, and my nervous system. Like, I have to tell y'all, like, I've really been putting off making a video. I've been doing some live streams and stuff, and thanks everybody for coming. I'm really feeling sick from this, like real sick, to where I'm like, I can't order my thoughts. My brain feels very, very injured. But I want to keep going, and I want to get there because I can look up some good information, and I can connect some good dots. I know I can. And that's kind of what I want to focus on right now. Um, but it hurts because it's part of her job. And when I go in there, and she did it, like, in a very, I guess, as polite as she could. Like, we were just having a conversation, and I was kind of talking about how I thought Occam's razor is bullshit, because the world is complicated. There's complicated technologies. Contractors, intelligence agencies are doing complicated things, and they're in I guess in their thinking, they're breaking some eggs to make a fucking omelet, and the eggs are innocent Americans and their families. So um, it's inexcusable. It's injustice. It's evil. It's all those things. But her part of her job is every time I go in. So if you guys do go to a psychiatrist, I'm not telling y'all, I'm not telling TIs what to do, target individuals what to do. Some target individuals, they're not going to go to doctors and psychiatrists. There are doctors and psychiatrists that are compartmentally involved with this program, just like MK Ultra. I've gotten very lucky, and I think the majority of doctors and psychiatrists are not involved in this program. It doesn't matter, because if they're going along the same lack of knowledge that this is occurring, and about the technology and about what the contractors are doing, uh, sometimes they're just as good as somebody who's in on it or whatever. And I'm not trying to insult her at all. She's a smart person. She wants to help me and stuff like that. And I'm going to be going there and talking with her. Um, but she asks me every time, if I'm going to hurt myself or hurt others, because she doesn't like, this is like, I'm telling her about directed energy weapons hitting me, voice to skull. I tell her about the voice to skull in her occupation and for her job. She doesn't believe that technology exists, so that's a red flag that I could hurt somebody. I'm being murdered and trying to help people, trying to give them information about this, while being murdered by contractors who are being protected. People are protecting them unknowingly or knowingly. And it's all like, okay, well, this is national security. We're murdering these innocent Americans, but it's national security. So these people who've decided to murder innocent Americans are being protected. They're not checked in on at all. And then I'm just, something happened to me at random. I think my targeting had a lot to do with medical problems. It could have been when I was born. I was sick when I was born. I could have been implanted then, or it could have been later when I was about 10. I had a flare up of Crohn's disease. I had colonoscopies and a surgery during that time when I could have gotten implanted, and then probably was just on a surveillance tracking program or something like that till like 2000, after 9/11. And then there was intermittent physical pain and things like that, but no high pitched tinnitus sound. So I think I went through different rungs of it because I just had the hardware. I think that doctors who were involved in this program just implanted me. They didn't know that there would be microwaving of me or anything like that. And then since I had that, I got pushed into different rungs of the program. That's kind of my thinking now, but I'm not 100% sure. Um, but that really hurts. That's stabbing me in the heart after all that I've been through and all that my family has gone through. She's asking me if I'm going to hurt anybody or hurt myself. That's one important thing. I just want to say, if you do decide to go to a psychiatrist to talk or to get help, like they can really help you with chemical shielding. Because I take lorazepam, and it dulls down the nervous system, and most of these neuro weapons and directed energy weapons are attacking the brain and the nervous system. So if you can dull down the nervous system, you can really it buffers the effects. I use the word buffer all the time. Attenuates the effects, and the way that your body reacts to being hit with the directed energy weapons. But yeah, I'm not blaming her. It's just, I have to say, I have to tell the truth. That's a stab through the heart to be asked, if I'm going to hurt myself or hurt others when people are murdering me. I mean, they are really pulsing microwaves to my head hardcore and my body. And I get the same feeling. I want to read an important article. I kind of want to go through the important stuff first, because I know maybe I make long videos, so maybe somebody wouldn't watch the whole video. So I want to go to an important article first, and then I want it to go to a video that Stephan Mollineux, and I know a lot of you guys probably know who that is. He talked to somebody who I think was really targeted, and it was an Indian person who really couldn't express themselves well. So there was a lot of confusion just from him not being able to speak English very well. But there was a good conversation in the comments. Some of the comments, well, I'll get to that, but let me get to this important article first. Just some more proof on the pile, just some more foundation of proof. And I think this is maybe an article that people haven't seen yet about the microwaves in Cuba. Now, this is from the Defense Systems Information Analysis Center. This is an article from the Defense Systems Information Analysis Center. So these people write articles. I want to go back a page and just show you all the kind of articles that they write. So Defense Systems Digest, these people write about, directed energy includes weapons that emit energy in an aimed direction without a projectile, such as high-powered laser, high-power electromagnetic (HPEM), high-power microwave, and jamming systems. So this is Defense Systems Digest. I mean, these people have access to defense contracts and things that the military industrial complex is doing. They have direct access uh, to um, to documents, to provable documents about this stuff. So I'm going to get to this later on, but when, if you don't know about this stuff and you're like, oh, these lunatics, they're schizophrenic, and, you're not looking up any of the information, tone it down a bit. Tone it down a bit, because you're talking to people who something just happened to. Like they maybe had a surgery where they were implanted, or maybe had problems at a job where then they were put on this list. Tone it down a bit with the lunatic thing. This is really happening. And in years to come, and I want it to happen in a year. I want it to happen tomorrow, but in a legitimate system, this should already be over. People should already have been discussing it. The contractor should have been pushed back. In a legitimate society, I feel like our society is not legitimate. It's an anarcho tyranny. Some people, the military industrial complex, and people with certain clearances can do whatever the hell they want. There are underground rules that people with certain clearances can non-consensually do human experimentation on citizens at a whim, whenever they want. Look at the Richard Kane case, and I know people going through this understand this stuff, but if people that are not going through this do just happen to stumble through my videos, I want them to know this is very real, and it is complicated though. This isn't going to be something people like to hear, but they're real targets that do not have a lot of mental illness. There are people that had mental illnesses before and then were targeted, and there are people with mental illness who think they are targeted or not. I know that's, survivors of this aren't going to like that I'm saying that, but this is a complicated issue. It's not just like everybody who says they're targeted is targeted, or everybody that says they're targeted is mentally ill. Things in the world are not that simple. Are not that simple. Now, I think there's a small percent. It's a very small percentage of people who are actually mentally ill, not being targeted, and claiming this. Um, it is a fact. I think that's a common sense fact for us surviving this. But I do just want to say that the more complicated something is, the less likely people are to believe it, because of some jerk, Occam's razor, like that the simplest solution is always what's happening. I mean, what is that based on? Because, what is that based on? Because, I know about directed energy weapons. I'm being hit with them. So Occam's razor states that I'm being hit with directed energy weapons. They exist. They're hitting me. Contractors are making money off of it. It's feeding a surveillance state. These things are happening. To somebody who knows nothing and has a lack of knowledge about this, Occam's razors, they don't know anything about directed energy weapons, so it's mental illness. So Occam's razor is really bullshit. We need to maybe put aside Occam's razor, because we live in a complicated world, and then just see what the reality is, instead of saying, well, there's this theory that things are supposed to be simple, so I'm going to simplify it for myself. I really think Occam's razor is bullshit. I think it's a social engineering theory, to keep people thinking that, hey, we don't have to believe in something complicated that can really hurt us and our families. Um, but these are the types of articles. And I'm sorry, I'm rambling. I need to take a drag off my electronic cigarette. I'm doing really bad. It just a lot of things have hit me. Well, actually, first I want to tell y'all, before I go into this, I had a weird week. Tuesday morning at like 2 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning, I woke up and I went to the racetrack, a convenience store down the street from me, and I was like walking in. So I parked near the gas pumps and everything, and I'm walking in, and this like short African American woman is running out of the door, and I saw a gun in her right hand, and she's like has a ski mask on and everything like that. And she like opens the door, she looks at me, and then she keeps running to I guess my left, her right, and then there's this like white SUV waiting for her. And like I walked into the store because I was thinking like maybe that's a water gun. That's somebody that worked at the store joking around or something like that. So I didn't know what was going on. I walk into the store and I'm like, hello, hello. Nobody's in there. Like, nobody's in there. So then I start thinking, like, I was like, okay, whoa, 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 whoa. That lady had a gun. So I like walk back outside. Like, I kind of run back outside. I don't know what I thought I was going to do, but she had already gotten into the white SUV and driven off. Like, I watched that happen, but I like still walked outside because I was thinking maybe somebody else was around there if they were playing around or something. Then I walked back in and I was like, then nobody was in there. And I was like, did this lady shoot somebody? And like I was calling behind all the counters and stuff like that. And eventually, and then I walked back outside, and then around the corner, like this group of people who worked there came around, and they were like, "Yeah, that lady just tried to rob the place. We all ran out of the other side of the store." Um, and then the police came, and we all, gave our statements and everything like that. That was weird. It was really weird. It had nothing to do with my targeting at all, but it was just like this, one of those weird, universal, weirdy things. But that's not the weirdest part. And then I stayed up, and about like 10 in the morning or something, I went to go get some kratom, go get some more kratom. And it's a long drive. It's down this really long street called Lee. So I get that, and then I'm driving back, and I'm driving up to this cross street, Lee, and another street, and I can't remember the name of it. But a guy like was stopped at the stop sign. He drives out, and this SUV just like barrels through. I mean, like the guy tried to stop in the SUV, but he was like going straight, and this guy was just trying to cross the street with cars coming. And so the black Accord got hit, the little car, and like spun around, and I was like the next one coming up into this wreck, like, and he like spun around and almost hit me and almost hit a house. Like, I mean, he was like that close from hitting my car. This all happened in one day. So that kind of just freaked me out. I just kind of wanted to note it. Really bizarre. I was proud of myself though, because even though I'm going through this stuff, with the targeting, I immediately pulled over because I thought maybe the guy in the SUV had been hurt. So I ran up to the SUV, asked him if he's all right. His airbags deployed, and he kind of hurt his wrist a little bit, didn't break it, but everybody was all right. And then the cop came, and we gave our statements, but it was just really weird. Two like events like happening right in front of me in a day. Um, and just bizarre, just bizarre. But that I think what I want to maybe pass on or convey here is I'm a targeted individual. Like, I'm being hit with directed energy weapons. Sometimes guys, people that are going through this, sometimes really weird, bizarre stuff happens. It has nothing to do with this. It's not set up by your perpetrators. It's just life. Life is weird. So I think that makes it hard for us, that life has some coincidences in it and is weird, and then it's put on top of like some things that are set up, gang stalking and street theater and things like that. I think it's important to try and discern between like, wow, that was just two really weird things, and targeting. So I guess kind of it goes under that category of wanting to say that. Um, but let me get back to this, guys. This is so Defense Systems Information Analysis Center. These people have access to Department of Defense contracts and things that the defense industry is doing. So Defense Systems Digest, October 9th, 2018. Pentagon requesting $66 million for laser drones to shoot down North Korean missiles. With sonic weapons attack, China demonstrates experimental program. An employee at the U.S. Embassy in Guangzhou, China, allegedly suffered mild traumatic brain injury after hearing a vague and abnormal sound, which was revealed in May 23rd Health and look, it's under directed energy non-lethal weapons. That's the heading that Defense Systems Digest puts under this article. With sonic weapon attack, China demonstrates experimental program, directed energy non-lethal weapons, right under there. So I'm going to go to this real quick. It's not the article that I wanted to go to, but I didn't know that this one's really important too. With sonic weapon attack, China demonstrates experimental program. Boy, guys, I feel like shit. Just to be honest with y'all, like my whole body just feels really weird. But we just gotta keep getting this information. Now, I got a lot of stuff I want to cover. The Stephan Mollineux interview. I don't think I'm gonna go through the whole interview though. So you guys can watch it. I'll give y'all the link. And then Stephan kind of disappointed me because he was like, I'll get to that. It's really some depressing stuff. Like this is it's just breaking news. The world is insane, and I mean, there's a lot of good, well-meaning people without knowledge, without information, and they're gonna, a lot of good, well-meaning people are gonna be like, hey, well, I think you're mentally ill, or hey, I think that you are lonely and you want to feel important, and we just don't have enough knowledge in our society because it is being kept from us. And this is a really important one. This is people dying. This is people being experimented on. It's very easy to understand why directed energy weapon systems and neuro weapons are being used on innocent citizens to advance the weaponry. It's hard to understand how people can be that evil, but the motives are easy. The motives are very easy. This is very powerful weaponry. Can do things and manipulate behavior, manipulate the mind. They can't just ask for volunteers and say, hey, this is going to fuck up your mind and it's going to maybe give you cancer and stuff like that. They can't do that. And they can't tell the American people, hey, well, we need to really experiment with this weaponry to use it in war and to use it in more wars. So we're going to do it to some innocent families. They can't do that. And that's what I was telling my psychiatrist. I feel like I put up a pretty good, not argument, but I'm kind of sick of trying to convince people this is happening. This should be simple. You should go, there's lots of information out there. It's easy to understand. Our intelligence agencies and contractors, they've gotten out of control. They're corrupt. A lot of them see the American people and regular citizens in other countries as cattle. They see us as collateral cattle. That's a new phrase I made up. And I often feel like, just doing videos or being on conference calls, it's a joke for how horrible this is. How many people should be speaking up? People are doing a great job, like Ella and Dr. Horton and Ramola and Midge and John Christiana. So many more, so many more people there. They're doing the best they can with the resources they have, doing even better. People are trying. People are speaking out, so we're doing the best we can. So it just sucks. It's just crazy. I mean, it's just sitting in front of my psychiatrist, and it's happening. And she even asked me, she was like, is there ever any time where you thought maybe you were mentally ill, maybe this was mental illness, maybe you were, she didn't say crazy or anything like that. And I was just like, not one time, not 100%, not one time that I asked myself. I had a flare-up of Crohn's disease when I was like 10. I'm very aware of my body. I'm very aware of my mind. When you're hit with weapons, when you're hit with microwave weapons, high-pitched sounds, well, and the truth is, these weapons were being used on me, and I didn't have anything just smacking me in the face, like the high-pitched sound, and then the V2K came months later. There's that butt from Go Movies. Oh, God. but the truth is, it's like I think for about 10 years I was being hit with stuff that was causing pain in my body, and I thought it was just my Crohn's disease. So it's not as simple as just like, oh, I'm being hit with, direct. I didn't know for a long time because I didn't know about this stuff, and I thought it was just physical pain, things going on with myself, but I really was being attacked by weapons. So it's more complicated than just like, oh, I'm being hit with directed energy weapons. A lot of people are hit and were hit with this stuff for many years before, and obviously they didn't think that that was happening, just like normal people out there who still don't believe it because they're not looking it up and looking into it. They don't believe it exists. um, that was like a lot of us. We didn't know it existed. We were being hit with it. I was being hit with it for like 10 years and didn't know it existed, and it was just like, oh, well, this is body pain and whatever. But then it was like, then it got really obvious, high pitched sound, that just out of nowhere, all of a sudden, boom, and then like, heat to the body and things like that. It's very obvious when you're being hit with an external weapon. That's what people who are like, well, delusions are very strong and blah blah blah. When you're being hit with a weapon, you're being hit with a weapon, with an external weapon. Now, they do some pretty subtle stuff with remote neural manipulation, and that's something we've got to discuss, but a lot of this is not subtle. It's being hit with a microwave weapon. I don't think anything could get any more simple. The technology's complicated, and they're not just putting it out on mainstream news every night that, hey, microwave weapons and nanotechnology exist and they're being used on people and they're being used all over the world. But it's pretty simple once you know that these things exist to have a discussion about it. Um, so let's read some of this. I might not read the whole thing because I really want to read the other article, and I've already kind of rambled on. I'm good at rambling, at least. I guess God has blessed me with that. I always think I'll have nothing to say on these videos, and always, because you go through so much with this, and you just want to get it out. So I mean, I feel like that's one great thing about making it, and I'm doing it again. I'm continuing to ramble. So let's get to this. So October 8th, 2018, an employee at the U.S. Embassy in Guangzhou, China, allegedly suffered mild traumatic brain injury after hearing a vague and abnormal sound, which was revealed in May 23rd health alert released by the embassy. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo was quick to draw similarities between the incident and a 2016 incident in Havana, Cuba, where U.S. Embassy personnel were sickened from an alleged sonic attack. I'd also like to add, my psychiatrist knew nothing about the Cuban embassy attack. Like, she's gonna look it up, she says. Like, I know she has a very heavy workload and stuff, but like, she knew nothing about that, which is disappointing, because it's big news. But I'm sure she's more focused on just her. She doesn't probably isn't all into the news, which I think psychiatrists should be. I'm not saying anything. She's doing her job. She's helping people. I just think that she does not have the knowledge about these real things. But she's helping me. But I think that psychiatrists should be equipped with things that are going on in the world. I think that's dangerous for them not to be. She's a good person. She does. I'm sure she helps a lot of people. She helps me. She helps me even though she doesn't think this is happening to me. Just to be able to talk to her. And there's a lot of things. I don't know if I want to. We've talked about some things that I might do to prove to her that this is going on. But I'm not going to talk about that right now because I'm still going through that in my head, and if it's the right thing to do. I'm tired of trying to prove to people that this is happening, and then them. I mean, she's kind of, well, I'm not going to go into all that. She's a good person. It does help, but you got to make your own decisions about that, whether or not you can explain things and tone it down a bit, and then definitely always say that you are not going to hurt yourself and you're not going to hurt others. I truly believe in that, so it's easy for me. It just does no good. I look at Myron Mays, and I look at the Navy Yard shooter Aaron Alexis, and Aaron Alexis, he had Navy experience. He could have helped our group with experience about how things work. And then definitely Myron Mays could have, he was a lawyer, so he could have been helping targeted justice now and moving us further along. So I think that the peaceful things that they could have done would have had way more of an impact than what they did do. And that's not going into, we don't want to become them. We don't want to become violent people like the people attacking us. Also, we know that this is a false flag culture. So if you do go do something violent, you're just going to be they're going to be like, it's a crazy person, and they heard voices, and everybody's gonna be like, oh, they were mentally ill, and then so it's gonna false flag. So it really, I don't strategically, I just don't. It's not the answer. It's not the answer. But then there's moral implications, and most targeted individuals don't have it in them, like to murder. I mean, to defend our lives, we do, but it's a little bit more complicated than somebody running at you with a knife. Like if somebody was running at me with a knife and they were going to kill me, I would definitely defend myself to the death. But this is a little bit different. The strategy has to be different. Comment about, well, I think most targeted individuals kind of know that. They're smart enough, and making a video like this has way more of an impact. And I know that it's small, but it's getting the awareness out and getting more people understanding about it, getting more people joining, like that maybe aren't necessarily targeted individuals, but that can join in and do research and help us. It's more of an impact. It's a positive impact. It shows that we're not violent. It shows that we're not crazy. I think it just has much more of an impact. I think violence in this society, in the way that the media is, even if it's done in a well-meaning way, it can be totally misconstrued. But I mean, that gets really complicated. So Pompeo told the House Foreign Affairs Committee the medical indications are very similar and entirely consistent with the medical indications that were taking place to Americans working in Cuba. He noted the United States sent medical teams and is working to figure out what took place both in Havana and now in China as well. Okay, this is a good part. This is crazy because this is a defense publication that knows about defense contracts, and they're just putting it out there. But the mainstream media is not picking this up. I mean, these people know about defense contracts and what kind of weapons everybody has. This is important information. What this prevailing narrative fails to note, however, is the long history of such weapons in the Chinese military arsenal. Sonic and ultrasonic weapons fall under the broader category of directed energy weapons, which also include a range of weapons on the electromagnetic spectrum. Listen closely, people, before you I mean, no, and mostly people, I think people who want to say, hey, you're schizophrenic and stuff like that, they stay away from my channel because my channel is way too logical and I'm just giving proof. So I think all those people that did do that to my channel kind of went to other people, that they could maybe poke holes in their argument or something like that. So I've kind of had a good run on that lately. Probably now that I'm saying it, some community placed agent or troll is gonna be working on it. But I think it makes them feel stupid when you give documented proof and you logically give your testimony and you give logical reasons for why this is happening in the practical world. Now I know there are a lot of metaphysical, a lot of spiritual reasons that this could be going on, because I do believe in a good God. I do believe that we are special spiritually. For God to allow us to have to go through this, we are special spiritually. We are special to Him. In the practical world, I think we're expendable, that's why I don't get the argument of, and higher up, it may have something to do with blood type. It may have something to do. They want some people who have higher IQs because they are researching researching the brain in the nervous system. So in some cases and protocols, they do want highly intelligent people. So there's a lot of different protocols where they are looking for certain special attributes, I think. But overall, they don't. It's not like, I guess when I say, somebody doesn't have to be important to be a part to be to be non-consensually experimented on, they don't have to have some kind of title like president or embassy worker, or have state secrets or things like that. Now there are a lot of whistleblowers. So there's different protocols where people do have a lot of damning information against the government or against corruption in the government, and those people are heavily targeted too. But then for the experimentation part, normal Joe. I mean, I'm a normal Joe. I'm kind of creative. I'm a writer. I haven't written a book. I've almost written a book, but I'm just a creative person and normal. For me, I think it was just I was ill when I was a child, and then I had Crohn's disease, and then somewhere in there was a doctor who was maybe ex-military or was working with these programs that put hardware into me. And then as time progressed, I was being surveilled and stuff like that, just on a general wide scale of that program, and then got pushed into a more violent, jarring program along the way, being passed from different contractors. When I moved to Texas and then moved back here, things happened that put me into a different rung, and it seems like it really got bad. I didn't know that it had gotten bad because I thought, oh, my Crohn's disease, oh, people are just being weird at work and mobbing me at work. After 2008. 2008 is a very important year. The Obama Brain Initiative came out. I hear a lot of targets saying, I knew that this was going on in 2008. It's a pivotal year for this. 2001 is a pivotal year. 2008 is a pivotal year. I think 2012 is a pivotal year. So we've got to look at those time periods and look at what was going on. What was going on to boost the level of targets that they're grabbing in for these programs. But I'm kind of getting off. This is a defense magazine. This is a defense online magazine talking about directed energy weapons being the main culprit in the China consulate attack. Okay, so let me read that over. I really needed to just talk to you guys, just make a video. I guess it feels different when I'm not. I'm like, man, I feel too bad to make a video. I feel just shaky. Okay, what this prevailing narrative fails to note, however, is the long history of such weapons in the Chinese military arsenal. Sonic and ultrasonic weapons, USW, fall under the broader category of directed energy weapons, which also include a range of weapons on the electromagnetic spectrum. That is very important. Directed energy weapons, which also include a range of weapons on the electromagnetic spectrum. They can be used for many purposes, including making a targeted person feel ill, damaging a targeted person's internal organs, or for destroying electronics equipment. I'm going to come back to that article later on. I kind of want to get to some other stuff, but this, I want to go back. This is Defense Systems Information Analysis Center. This is under, this article is under directed energy weapons. Look, directed energy non-lethal weapons about the China consulate attack. Defense Innovative Unit, DIU, gets a new leader. Here's who is running the Pentagon's acquisition and technology offices. Wow, shit. Deputy Editor Aaron Mehta, Under Secretary of Defense for Acquisition and Sustainment, Ellen Lord, provides an update on her office's reorganization. Defense Systems Digest, this was in September. Warfighter Systems Summit, directed energy, non-lethal weapons, survivable and vulnerability, weapons systems. I don't see how people can just listen to people give their testimony about being hit with microwave weapons and gangstalking and just be like, oh, well, that's definitely schizophrenia. That means you don't have knowledge about it. That means that you haven't looked anything up. That means that you're not aware of these programs and these contractors and research and development and how far technology has gone and how people who create war don't care who they kill. They're manufacturing weapons and manufacturing wars. We are in a bad, bad place. I kind of see why a lot of people think that we're in the end times. I'm not going to go into all that really, but okay, so let's go to this. Directed energy weapon systems. Doctors reveal details of neuroweapon attacks in Havana. This article is important because it has James Giordano in it, And I swear, guys, I think that guy's seminars are maybe the most important things for us to watch and for non-target individuals to watch too, because he seems to know that this stuff is going on, but thinks that it's really bad, that they're just picking people at random and experimenting on a bunch of people. He knows it's going on. He's not going to come out and say it because he'd probably be arrested. You know, he's worked for the Pentagon. Now he's working in England on a brain initiative, but he is like, that's a complicated thing. I mean, I think that that's like somebody who's accepting that it's happening, but he does think it's very unethical. So what? I mean, why wouldn't you try and stop it? Why wouldn't you try and? But he, I mean, he is speaking out. I don't know what to think of that guy. I really do not know what to think of that guy. I guess if he knows that this is going on and he's not trying to stop it, and he's involved in these experiment programs, and he knows that humans are being, then he's a piece of shit. I do, however, like the fact that he's talking about it pretty. What's the word for it? You know, when you just talk about something pretty candidly, I think that helps us. But I have no idea, like, you know, what his motives for that or anything are. It's hard to know what people's motives are with these contractors, and you know how much they care about human life. Um, so this is from September 24, 2018, source National Defense. So this the source of it is National Defense and National Defense Magazine .org, from 6th of September 2018. Now, and then, so I'll read through the article, and then I want to give you an important point about the people who are talking in this article. Doctors reveal details of neuroweapon attacks in Havana. So when you hear targeted individuals, and I know people going through this, you'll understand. When you hear us saying remote neural manipulation, remote neural monitoring, the brain is an electromagnetic organ. So certain frequencies and electromagnetic frequencies and microwaves can send and receive signals from the brain with certain catalysts. So with nanotechnology, with implants the grain of rice that are still, that implantation is still going on. And I'm not sure if just anybody who goes into a surgery does not get one of those, because they're doing widespread experimentation on the population of Earth. Like the United States, a military industrial complex with universities and hospitals, widespread experimentation. You know, England, like I always have trouble saying a bunch of other places, but England, Australia, Poland, everywhere, you know, widespread experimentation, you know, on neuroweapons, on directed energy weapon systems. Fact. um, Sometimes I feel ridiculous with these videos. This is like a huge global problem, and to get advances, we cannot just murder innocent people. It doesn't matter if the technology, I mean, because, you know, breakthroughs with this technology will come, they're being trickled out to the medical industry, they're being trickled down, you know, to the consumer industry, they're trickled down for a few little tidbits of good things for average citizens. But people are being ripped apart like at random, and that has to be stopped. It's simple. It's so simple, and I don't see how people are so confused. Lack of knowledge is why. Knowledge is being hidden, technology is being hidden, and then people are confused because it's not in their daily lives, and so they're like, wow, that sounds like mental illness or something like that. To me, it's so clear because I'm being hit with this stuff. Others that I love are being hit with this stuff. Others that, you know, I totally respect, and they're humans that could just light up their communities with things that they do, with talents. They're not criminals, they're not dangerous, they're not insane. Um, all right, well, let me go through this, guys. Hold on. Hold on, before I do this, I want to go to one of my detractors. Oh, I don't know if I can find it on my computer. Oh, okay. Maybe I can just show it on my phone. One of my TI friends sent me this. Let me see if I can just show it to y'all on my phone. So I saw this a couple of years ago, but somebody sent it to me this morning. I don't know. Can y'all see this? I guess y'all can kind of see it, huh? I don't know his YouTube channel though. Let's go to one of my detractors. I'm not sure if this guy is a targeted individual. I don't know if he is a perpetrator. I don't know if he's just a troll. I really don't know what he is, but it's really funny. It's not really funny, but let me just show it to y'all.
Give up, roll over and quit. Tap out right now. I think you're gonna tap out. You better tap out and quit. Quit that. You better quit that. Quit what you're doing right now. Stop it while you're ahead. You better stop while you're ahead. You know what happens at the craps table? You know what happens at the craps table? They roll snake eyes. They roll snake eyes at the craps table. I'm not better, sir. You better stop watching this video and give up. Better stop. Give up. Quit. Quit. Quit that. Quit now. Quit. 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 Quit.
What is it?
Quit.
Like, y'all see it? Yeah, can y'all see it good?
Never try again. Just hold it, lay on the floor, and cry about it. You give up. Quit. Quit that. Quit. Quit that. You quit it. Quit. Stop. 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 Stop.
So that was Vulcan Wolverine Give Up Now, and that was I think it was like from 1 or 2 years ago. I'm not sure. So I guess look Vulcan Wolverine Give Up Now on YouTube. Scary. Like, I don't know what to think about that. But whenever I might do that, I might make it a thing for my videos now. Let's go to the detractors and just show that guy. I hope he's not a targeted individual who is going through a lot of pain. He looks kind of deranged. Anyway, let's continue with this article. I thought that was kind of funny. I saw it a couple of years ago, but I was just like, oh man, a lot of people have made videos. Like, there's this one guy who said I was like too religious and gave false hope, and which you got to understand about all the people who are survivors who are stepping up and putting information out. We're just people, and we're just trying to figure it out like everybody else. There's some really good advice out there. There's some people who kind of they give good advice, then they give some theories that I don't agree with. But that's how we've got to talk about it. We've got to talk about it. We just have to keep talking about it. And that's what I would really ask people who do not believe in this is happening. Please just keep talking about it. Be respectful, because in a couple of years, or I hope it's sooner than that, but definitely in a couple of years, a lot of these people who are going, these people are nutbags, they're lunatics, and they're selfish and stuff like that, you're going to go, oh, that was true? Okay. And you're not going to care about it. Or it's going to happen to you. So I would be a little bit more wise judging this. I'm proud of myself. I don't have to. I was getting very angry yesterday. I was like yelling, and I'll show you all the comments I left on Stephan's comment thread. So doctors revealed details of neuroweapon attacks in Havana. Evidence indicated that neuroweapons, likely directed energy weapons, were used in Havana, Cuba attacks on U.S. personnel. Source: National Defense. September 24, 2018. Source: National Defense, National Defense Magazine.org. So, yeah. Hold on, let me get something to drink. I kind of want to take some kratom too. I'm going to take some kratom real quick. I took some CBD oil and I'm taking some kratom. I'm going to take some white vein. Take some white vein kratom because it helps with my mood. It helps me feel a little bit lighter. It helps with my mood. So I'm going to take 4 of those. I don't know what kind of milligrams, but I try not to take too much. So I've been taking kratom for a while. No negative effects or anything like that. Okay, guys, so hold on. So hurry up and wait. Okay, directed energy weapons intended to disrupt or damage their victims' brains were the most likely source of a series of mysterious attacks, singling out U.S. personnel assigned to the U.S. Embassy in Cuba in 2017. 3 doctors involved in the investigation have told National Defense in exclusive interviews. The 3 experts were contacted by the State Department to investigate 25 cases of government employees working in Cuba who complained of suddenly hearing noises, pressure in their ears, followed by symptoms such as headaches, vertigo, dizziness, and loss of cognitive functions. That's what I'm experiencing. Well, really all that and more. The team of 3 experts concluded that that incident was a wide-scale use of electronics to carry out a so-called neuroweapon attack. Neuroweapons are an emerging but little understood threat that is compounded by the ease in which they can be purchased on the internet, and they're also used by intelligence agencies and contractors for research and experimentation. That is my own little editorial add-in. The team of 3 experts concluded that incident was a why. I already read that. I think we are turning a page, said Dr. James Giordano. This guy, like he's involved in this. I don't get it. I think we are turning a page, said Dr. James Giordano, a professor at the departments of neurology and biochemistry at Georgetown University Medical Center and chief of the Neuroethics Studies program at the Pellegrino Center for Clinical Bioethics. The Pentagon has taken notice of the event, and Giordano and the 2 other team members will be briefing the J3 Joint Chiefs of Staff on September 7th. The team recorded objective findings of balance disorders on 100% of the 25 victims who had reported the symptoms. Everyone was abnormal in at least one balance test. We made sure they were super abnormal, not just barely abnormal, Hoffer said. The 10 people who were in the same buildings at the time of the attack showed no symptoms. The 25 victims also had a unique pattern of cognitive disorders that the co-lead of the team, the university's director of neuropsychology, Dr. Bonnie Levin, picked up, he said. Giordano said directed energy weapons can cause these injuries by creating cavitation or air pockets in fluids near the inner ear. The shape of the inner ear amplifies sounds in waveforms to cause the effect. Now, that's something interesting that I did not know about. The process creates air bubbles or cavities that eventually burst. Near the inner ear are 2 pathways carrying blood to the brain, the cochlear aqueduct and the vestibular aqueduct. The bubbles can travel rapidly up the aqueducts into the brain where they can function as a stroke, Giordano said. My mom had a mini stroke, and my dad had an aneurysm. And let's go to the likelihood of multiple sources of energy. Okay. Hold on one second, guys. Okay. The likelihood of multiple sources of energy of acoustic and radio frequencies is there. We just don't know what it was, he said. The team could not conclude exactly what method the perpetrators used on the victims, but narrowed it down to several possibilities. Drugs alone were deemed unlikely. Ultrasonic acoustic exposures they judged very possible and likely. Electromagnetic pulsing was also rated very possible and probable. Microwave energy was deemed possible but unlikely. But in that paragraph, electromagnetic pulsing is microwave energy. So I don't understand how they're differentiating there. Microwave energy was deemed possible. Electromagnetic pulsing was also rated very possible and probable. Those 2 things are, the microwaves are on the electromagnetic spectrum. Directed energy weapons systems use everything on the electromagnetic spectrum from ultrasound. I don't know if our attackers use X-ray. I suspect they do. Microwaves, radio frequencies, and a bunch of other stuff that extremely low frequencies. Um, there was another possibility, but more information was needed to know that the attackers used a combination of a drug that was activated by the directed energy weapon. And that's what a lot of target individuals talk about, catalysts and nanoparticulates and things like that, that the directed energy weapons that are being shot at us actually work together in conjunction to hurt us. Or those things, those nanoparticulates working to create like a dirty circuit board, like our body as a dirty circuit board, absorbing more of the directed energy. So that's kind of what we're talking about there. At least I think they're talking about something else, but that kind of it does kind of coincide with those things. So these are related articles, and I'm going to come back here. I think I'm going over this. This is a good. Get this link, guys. Related articles: neurotechnologies as weapons of mass disruption, future asymmetric warfare, putative mechanisms, emerging threats, and bad actor scenarios. And that's by the USS OCOM, Donovan Group, and SoftWorks. Future neurocognitive warfare shall target cognitive, physiological, and behavioral vulnerabilities of adversary, international defense, security, and technology. These are the kind of magazines they're talking about it. They're just saying it. They're just putting it out there. These people are just putting it out there, but it's not flowing into the mainstream media. It's really for the people who are using these weapons. That's who these are. So we got to dig, guys. Like Patrick Inca Rhodes, he digs and he does research. Patrick, if you see this one, let's dig into these articles. These people know about defense contracts and the type of weaponry. We need to. I'm gonna go through these and make some more videos. This is exciting because this is a bunch of great information from completely reliable sources because they know about the defense contracts and they, been presented this weaponry and a lot of information about it. Okay, guys, so I didn't want to go this long. I got through that important article. Now I kind of wanted to go to this. I had a couple more other things, but I'll keep them till the next video. I may do a live stream. Do a live stream this weekend. I'll do a long live stream this week. Maybe it depends on how I feel, guys. I love doing them. I love you guys, but it's just like I feel like this is how I feel right now. It's not showing, but I feel like my spine and my I feel like this. And then cognitive stuff. I'll do my best to put some more information out. But okay, so this is Stephan Mollineux. It's kind of ironic because when I guess it was about 2 years ago, I was introduced to him. I was looking around on YouTube about narcissists and psychopaths. And he has some very, very good videos on narcissists and psychopaths because I was trying to understand how people could do this. Like what happened? What happened where there's so many psychopaths with these contractors and intelligence agencies, and then how are people turning into sociopaths? And I think it's more of a like people who are really maybe have sociopathic tendencies, then people start doing violent stuff that they're like, oh well, this is national security, you can do it, and then they get blood in their mouth, and then they like it and they keep feeding, and then they become even more sociopathic. But I was looking at a bunch of his videos. A very smart guy. He says, I'm not going to go, it's a very, very long interview, and the Indian guy who's talking, I guess I'll go through just the first part so you can get the gist of it. I don't really want to go through what he says at the end. I guess I will show that, because I've just showed all this evidence that it is happening. My channel is very credible. I'm just showing documentation, testimonies. I want to do some other stuff too, but energy level and just surviving this, guys. I got to just do as much as I can.
Funded and is carried out by highly professional and organized security agencies
Okay.
I am subject to covert harassment since August 2015, which I have concluded is state-sponsored and state-funded and is carried out by highly professional and organized security agencies who work closely with local, regional, and national law enforcement and intelligence agencies. This covert harassment is 24/7, uses, among other harassment tactics, highly classified directed energy devices that target the central nervous system and cause neurophysiological disorders without leaving any signs of physical injury. It has totally upended my life, is slowly but surely deconstructing my body, and does not allow me to live or go to work anywhere. I have never been accused of or charged with anything whatsoever. Quite obviously, the state resources are being manipulated here for private interests. How can I get the state to stop subjecting me to 24/7, constant, horrifying, and humiliating terror? That's from Sanjay.
Sanjay, how are you tonight?
Hi, Stephan. I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Man, that is a terrifying experience, right?
Yes, absolutely.
All right. So let's go back to the beginning and tell me what happened.
In the beginning, so I'll start with 2008, or actually 2007, when me and my ex-wife now
Really smart. He's a good guy.
were separated for about a year.
He needs to know.
And during that year of separation, she came in contact with this organization called I'm sorry, I have been exposed yesterday night and I'm having some difficulty speaking. So speech impairment is one of the is also one of the effects of this harassment, which includes directed energy devices.
So you were attacked or exposed to an energy weapon yesterday, and that's interfering with your fluency?
Yes, yeah, okay. I'm exposed to these directed energy devices every day. It's not just yesterday night or yesterday, every day, every single day. Right. And I'm in Los Angeles. So in 2007, me and my ex-wife were separated for a period of about 1 year. At that time, she came in contact with this women's shelter organization.
Why was she in contact with the women's shelter?
Because I had left the apartment in which we were staying, and my ex-wife, who at that time was my wife, she had just started working a couple of months ago. And so she could not figure out how she could live independently.
But what was going on, Sanjay, what was going on in your marriage that your wife left without any place to go?
No, she did not leave. I left the apartment in which we were staying together.
Well, but did you leave and then stop paying any kind of rent or utilities?
Yes. I did stop paying the rent because I was not living there. I had to rent another apartment to live.
Did she have any kind of income?
She did have an income. She had started working just a few months before we were separated.
But she didn't have enough income to pay for the apartment, right?
It's difficult to say. Probably she had just enough income to be able to pay for the apartment and her expenses.
And what about your child?
At that time, we didn't have a child. So our child was born in 2011.
Oh, sorry. Okay, got it. So you moved out. Now, why did you move out?
Because we were having arguments. We were not speaking much with each other. There was a lot of bitterness between the two of us. And what triggered my leaving the apartment was that one day, I called her multiple times at our apartment home phone, and she will not pick up. And then I was really scared that why she's not picking up the phone. I mean, at least pick up the phone. And then when I went home, there was no explanation other than that I just didn't want to pick up the phone. So a couple of months after that, I moved out of the apartment.
Well, then that kind of been the immediate incident. If it was a couple of months later, you moved out. What happened between her not picking up the phone and you moving out?
Not much really. We were not speaking with each other. I was not spending too much time at home. If I was at the apartment, I was just
Okay,
looking
it's
at my
pretty long and drawn out, the
laptop or watching
conversation.
TV,
I'm going to kind of
and we were
skip to
not.
some parts in the end at
And
random.
I don't know if I'm secure here or not, if because it's covered. So it's not announced to me that we are going to expose you. It's not announced. So only the next day I'm able to tell whether these agencies were able to expose me or not. So I don't know before fact that I'm secure.
Okay, let
Only
me ask you
after.
this, Sanjay.
Yeah.
Has it occurred for you that other people are in the room when this knocking or these sounds occur? And what do they do?
Yeah, so Stefan, I would request you to think of this also as
So Sanjay says that like when he's in his apartment, he would go use the bathroom and he would hear knocking on the floor or knocking on the roof, which I get when I go to the bathroom. My neighbor will run his water, so I'll hear those sounds and then knocking on the wall. So I feel like that's a protocol. I feel like the noise harassment when you're going to the bathroom is a major protocol for the trauma because you're in the most exposed area of your living space. So I believe that they really use that protocol of noise harassment, of like trying to traumatize you with noise, like people are watching you in the bathroom, people are watching you in the bathroom. I feel like that's a very, very general protocol that is used. So Sanjay, I believe that Sanjay is a targeted individual. Obviously, I do believe that he's a target individual. I feel like he explains, like Stefan says, why are they doing this to you? And he explains it, what he says, ostensibly. So he's saying they want to keep him from seeing his daughter. Um, but I think Stefan was trying to get to why are they doing this on a larger scale. So I wish that Sanjay would have gone into like human experimentation, surveillance and stuff like that. I wish he would have gone into some of those bigger categories because then Stefan I think would have understood. But since he stuck to like what they were trying to do to his personal life, then Stefan said this. In this, Stefan says that he does believe in gang stalking. He does believe the contractors, the government is doing some very corrupt things. He just says that he doesn't believe Sanjay. Um, so I don't know where he stands on this issue really. If Stefan, if you are watching my videos, which I doubt, but if you have passed through my videos, this is very very real, and I'll show my comments. I left comments, and not I did actually use a cuss word, but I like Stefan. I like Stefan just like I like my psychiatrist from yesterday. I feel it's a lack of knowledge. It's a lack of knowledge about what's going on, and very very smart people can have beliefs that aren't correct because they don't understand what's happening. So it's not like they're stupid or anything like that. It's just there's a lot of information in our world. There's a lot of things going on. There's a lot of different focuses that people have to have, and not everybody, if this isn't happening to them, will focus on this, and then they'll go in a traditional mindset of like this is what I know is in the world, and I can't believe that authority would experiment on people with technology like this, and I don't think that frequencies can be sent to the brain, and then they'll just make a decision off of that. It doesn't mean that people are cognitively dumb. It means they lack information, they lack knowledge. So that's why awareness and putting this information out in documents, it's giving people knowledge so that smart people can make better decisions about what is happening in their world, and that they can help us in any way that they can, because like I'm being massively murdered. My parents are being hurt, and they'll never admit that they're being targeted. They believe me when I say I'm targeted because I've shown them enough evidence. Um, the people that I talk to, and this is for people maybe who don't believe that this is happening. They're beautiful people who just want to do creative things or have a job or have families. Some of them do have families, have kids and stuff, and husbands and wives, and they're being hit with this stuff for experimentation or whatever kind of. There's a lot of things that offshoot from this. Um, Testing the weapons, advancing the weapons, seeing what they can get people to do. That's all. Torture experimentation is also experimentation, and a lot of other things on top of that. So let me just go to the end, and this is what broke my heart. Really broke my heart.
If I'm just verbally acute but fundamentally dense, right? I can entertain all of those possibilities, and I could write.
Yes.
You can buy something to detect it for $40 fucking on eBay. Okay, it's undetectable, brother.
But that $40
you
instrument.
can detect this stuff, but Stephan's
like,
okay, it's a weapon that's undetectable. Sanjay's not explaining
It is possible. Sanjay, do not be helpless in the face of these beliefs. You are more than these beliefs. Why is it not possible for you to change your mind?
Very seriously. So it's still very hard to get help.
Not the truth.
You have no proof. Don't tell me about
the
the truth when you have no proof, my friend.
I have no proof. I can show it to you, but I know the proofs that I have experienced. So proof is my experience.
My fucking heart.
There's no argument that says experience equals proof.
I know. So
you know that there's. Hang on, Sanjay. You were in an institution, right? I visited my mother in said place. You know as well as I do that there are people in there who think that they're Napoleon, who think that they're Jesus, who think that they're the reincarnation of Buddha, who think that they're the reincarnation of whoever, right? Now, those people have genuine experiences that they honestly believe are true. Are they true?
Right.
Are they true?
Not necessarily. No, not always. Yeah.
Wait, are you saying that it's possible that some are the reincarnation of Napoleon?
Well, because I'm not.
No, Sanjay, join me in the sunlit plains of certainty. They are not the reincarnation of Napoleon. How much time and energy and money have you spent trying to detect these energy rays?
Well, I'm always on my toes, so
I don't think on your toes is a scientific argument.
No, I meant to say that I'm always trying to upgrade, so I have to keep moving around all that.
No. So Sanjay, the answer is you have not. Listen, you have not spent time, money, and energy trying to detect these rays. Why? Because you're terrified they're not there. It's the same reason you can get a tox screen from a doctor pretty easily. It's pretty cheap. You just have to ask for it. There's a reason why you didn't go to the doctor. There's a reason why with an ask for a tox screen. There's a reason why you didn't go to the landlord. There's a reason why you didn't go to your neighbors. There's a reason why you did go to the police, right? Which is, it's very difficult for you emotionally if you're not the focus of all of this attention. If you're just a lonely guy who's been kicked out of his family and who barely gets to see his...
I didn't get to ask my psychiatrist this because I forgot, but why do people go to that, like, that we want attention? That this... Like, I had friends and I dated all the time before I knew I was targeted. I may have been targeted a little bit before I knew about all this and was being targeted way more heavily. My family was happy. I had a career. I worked at Dell. Like I went out with my friends. I had good attention from the people around me in my life. Why do people think that people want attention like this? I don't understand. Logically, that makes no sense, because people are calling us crazy. They're calling us psychos. They're saying we're selfish. I don't want that kind of negative attention. I don't want that kind of negative attention. It's so sad to see this divergence of reality when something's really happening, but some cognitively smart people do not know that it's going on. They do not know that it's going on, and they're just like, well, this looks like mental illness. Because, and I want to tell you all this, I want to tell, and people who are going through this, y'all know this, this is it's made to look like mental illness. Like, because the gangstalking, running parallel with directed energy weapon experimentation, it's supposed to make the person that's going through it look like they're mentally ill. They use the DSM for these protocols. It's supposed to make us look crazy so that it can discredit us, and then we can be isolated and experimented on. So that's a huge, I know it's a little bit more complicated. It doesn't go along with Occam's razor or whatever that made up thing is, because life is complicated, but this was developed to make the survivors or the victims look crazy while hurting them, while torturing them. these are pretty simple concepts. I don't know. Breaking news: the world is crazy.
Child and has been fired last week. You're just a lonely guy that no one's really paying attention to if you're not part of this whole state-sponsored, state-funded harassment campaign. You're just a lonely guy who's got no wife, who barely has a child, who has no friends, who has no job. You're alone. And I think rather than deal with the pain of being alone, you're making up a whole world where everyone's really focused on you and everyone's really interested in you. Everyone really cares about you.
He really thinks he's
And I've seen this before, Sanjay.
I did not make.
I've seen this before.
No, but I did not
I'm
make
telling
this
you
up.
clearly, my
It's
friend,
a
and I'm trying to help you here. I'm trying to save you.
Right.
Because
Yeah.
I've seen how this plays out. And it's
mentally ill
horrible.
and you want attention.
Right.
It's not
You know what this is going to do
No,
to your
I'm
life,
paying the
right?
price for it, so I know, how bad.
Right.
No, I'm paying the price for it, so I know, like.
So my
it's
mother,
bad, it turned out to be bad.
hang on. My mother, there's a reason why I'm spending so much time on this call, right?
Right.
My mother believes that doctors poisoned her. And that's why she beat her kids, and that's why her life was terrible, and that's why she was unable to sustain a relationship. And she also believes that she was being targeted by unseen, unknown forces, probably from the insurance company. And a car passed by once, and it backfired, right? So naturally, she thought, of course, that people were shooting at her. Some graffiti was written in a building across the way from the little apartment building she lives in, the little apartment she lives in. Some graffiti was sprayed, and she thought it was a message of warning to her to stay away from this topic that she was approaching. And there are a large number of innocuous events that she interpreted as a big conspiracy against her from a wide variety of people who were obsessed with her and focused on her and interested in her and what she did. When the reality was, she had no real friends. Her children, well, I won't speak for others. I did not enjoy spending time with her and haven't seen her in close to 20 years now, I think. And she had no husband. She had no boyfriend. Nobody cared about her. And when we have that kind of void or that vacuum in our heart, like we're a social animal, Sanjay, you know that as well as I do. We need people around us. We want people around us.
That's why this program.
And you don't have people around you.
Social animals.
You don't have people who care about you, because if you had people who care about you, they would be having these conversations with you. And so this also isolates you from people, because you start bringing this up with people and they take 3 steps backward. And they don't want to have anything to do with you because it's nuts. So I have seen how, hang on, I'll be done in a second. Then you can have all the time you want. So I'm telling you straight up, man, this leads to a very terrible place in life. My mother, for as long as I've known her as an adult, she sleeps with a giant knife under her pillow because she's terrified that this conspiracy is going to take her down.
She was actually mentally ill.
So
this follows along the actual target.
It has been an e-day fix of hers
with some people who have mental
for,
illness and think they are being
let me just work on this now.
It really fits into that.
Over 35 years. She has been unable to
so
budget. She has been unable to reason with it. She's been unable to push back against it, even though I tried and strove mightily to help her. Unsuccessfully, as I fear this will be the case with you. Because maybe you've indulged in this fantasy for so long that it's become such a necessary part of your being that I'm asking you to remove an arm or a leg or an eye to get rid of it. But I'm telling you, if there's any chance, that 0.1% of doubts that you might have about what is going on in your life, I'm trying to help you strengthen that 0.1%. Because you are very certain without proof. And the cost of what you believe is so extraordinary that it is literally is destroying your life. It is destroying your relationships. It is destroying your capacity to be a father.
So then I can show that. And then
I agree with your wife as far
proof.
as custody goes.
I'm going to find some
Because
other ways.
if you have these delusions,
testing, if we can get it done,
it is not, in my view, particularly healthy and maybe not even that safe for you to be around your daughter. Okay, I'm just telling you my amateur opinion, of course, here, right? So why would you love this belief more than you love your family? Why would you love this belief more than you love your job? Why would you love this belief more
it's confusing, and I'm talking
you
to
love your career. The answer,
everyone,
Sanjay, is because it makes you feel important. It makes you feel like people are focused on you. It gives you an imaginary tribe, even if that tribe is out to get you. And I'm saying, don't get sucked into this ghost world of imaginary tribes. Let it go. Find reason, find evidence, connect with people, and view this as a terrible passage in your life that you're stronger for having put behind you.
People just want us to get past it when it's being attacked with directed energy weapons 24 hours a day.
Because it is a truth. It is
I'm going to stop.
Truth.
This is
All right,
very depressing. But at this point, and I did say it today, maybe this will change in the future, and I'll be glad that this isn't the case. But I told my psychiatrist, she said, would you feel better if this was a mental illness? And I said, yes, I would rather it be schizophrenia, because then I could take medications that even my brain out. I could be, married. I could have a career. It wouldn't be something that I can totally not control. Years ago, I said differently. I'm glad that I don't have schizophrenia, because, this is going to be beat in a little while, and I have a healthy brain, but it's just being pulsed by electromagnetic frequencies. But right now, I do wish that it was schizophrenia, because then there'd be something that I could do about it individually, work with myself as a challenge, because I faced Crohn's disease for most of my life. I'm in remission right now, knock on wood. And I've told y'all before, if I had delusional disorder or schizophrenia, and a lot of other targeted individuals would tell you this, if that were the case, that's what we would be fighting. We are fighting what is happening. Experimentation, non-consensual human experimentation with directed energy weapon systems and neuro weapons and other things, other directed energy weapons. That's a strong statement to make, that I wish this was schizophrenia. With all the things that my family's going through, with all the things that I have to know that other really great individuals are going through and how bad they're being hurt, I do at this point. That's a very strong statement. I don't know if that may change in the future. Right now, I can say that. I want to go through some of the comments, because I put a lot of good. Let's go back to the article. Let's go back to this article about neuroweapons being the probable cause for the embassy workers, and these weapons existing and being used in our society, in America, in other countries, in Cuba. Let's go back to that. Now let's go to some of the comments. Let's see. Well, let's go to my comment first. This is the one I put first. I said, gang stalking and targeting with directed energy weapon systems and neuroweapons is very real and destroying so many lives globally. Even if you don't believe it is happening, please keep discussing it and look into what intelligence agencies and contractors are doing. It is hell on earth, and it is very real, and it can pretty much happen to anyone at any time. Then later, after listening to some more of the video and going through the comments that were very negative, I got kind of mad. I admitted I got kind of mad, and then I put, here's some logic for people to think about. Brand new forms of mass hysteria just popping up out of nowhere is the fucking conspiracy theory, which I completely believe in. New surveillance state exists where people are being surveilled more, and directed energy weapons exist which are being used on people. It's created this new form of mass hysteria where people think they're being surveilled and hit by directed energy weapons. Huh? Breaking news. The world is freaking crazy. Okay, so let's read some, I want whatever this guy's been smoking. Earthling Carl says that. James Alsop, literally Terry Davis glow-in-the-dark CIA tier craziness. Great guess, Molly. Dancing Dove, oh no, not the cupboard noises. Somebody said he needs to go back to India. John 911. There is a balance of comments, people who know that this is going on, and then people who are just straight up like, this guy's schizophrenic. This is obviously schizophrenia. So that's why we need to talk about this more, and we need to show more proof, because this is the truth. It is happening. It's a lot more complicated. Probably not everybody that thinks they're a targeted individual is. And some people who maybe had previous prior prior mental illness conditions are targeted. And then there are some people, like I had depression and anxiety before this for my Crohn's disease, but never had any kind of delusional disorder or anything like that. Like nobody in my family has that. Um, but I look back and I don't know if that depression and anxiety was actually caused by targeting. So that even gets complicated in there. Somebody who maybe didn't know they were targeted, they start showing signs of like mental injury, which is different than mental illness. And I like how Brian too says that those two things are very different. Yeah, and go back and watch this video. It's hard to listen to because Sanjay has a hard time describing that. I think he's being hit with directed energy weapons while this interview is going on, but it's a very long interview and talking back and forth. But it's good that Stephan's talking about this. I really appreciate that. His conclusions about it, that sucks. That sucks because he's a smart person. But I think that he knows that things like this are going on. I think if he does a little bit more research, he can then see more clearly. He's also, dealing with the left-right paradigm and a lot of people who want to attack him. So, he's kind of got to stay on the side of people not being able to say, well, we've got to discount everything he says because he believes in directed energy weapons, which is used on people, I'm sure. I don't know. I like the guy. He's wrong on this. He's smart. I hope he does see this video. I would love to go on his show. I don't think that's going to happen. It seems like whenever people want to talk about this or something like this, like people who want to disprove it, and I'm not saying Stephan wanted to disprove it, but there are some other people when they're trying to do an anti-gang stalking, it just doesn't exist. They pick the worst examples. They pick the worst examples of targeted individuals who are very, very over hyper vigilant and think that everybody's stalking them, which we've got to be careful about because, the other side will get us on that, and there are no sides. We're all in danger from this stuff. So even if you are not being directly targeted by like a stream of energy and V2K and everything, there is non-ionizing microwave radiation all around you. Your smart meter is very dangerous. Cell towers putting out broadband signals, over certain areas. So we're all in danger from this stuff. Don't separate yourself from it. I and other target individuals, we are you. So you're calling yourself a lunatic. Like, let's just switch places. Like, I'm not a crazy person. I'm somebody who this just happened to because I had a surgery. So I might be on that other side saying, hey, you're a fucking lunatic. Could you imagine how that would feel to somebody who something violent just happened to? Boy, oh boy. So Metal Slug, fight through the energy weapons effects and focus. Stephan Mollineux. Jeff Beard, did Steven call Google customer service? That's a good joke. Whatever. Very racist joke. Okay, so this 427. Hi, Stephan. I think that Sanjay is on the verge of having a nervous breakdown. I've seen people who have had nervous breakdowns because of life circumstances. Every little noise annoys them immensely, even so much as they become different than their old selves, and finally it happens. In the fetal position, crying uncontrollably, then staring blankly and not responding. After some time in the hospital and some therapy, back to normal. Sanjay thinks that if he breaks down, he will never see his daughter. In his mind, he is desperately trying to rationalize his descent into a breakdown, and the more he can rationalize it, the more he holds on to it. That's why he says, yes, there is 1% chance that could be wrong, but then when asked again, he says definitely not. It has to all be real. And Stephan, check out the Eugene, Oregon EMF experiment where the Navy targeted a small town in Oregon with a very powerful pulsating EMF waves from a base in California and did make people very sick. The Russians did the same thing in the 60s with the U.S. Embassy with microwave radiation. So in modern society, this is very possible. What the military has now is much more advanced and capable now in terms of their directed energy weapons. This is just more fuel for someone like Sanjay to convince himself of what he thinks is happening to him. Well, that doesn't make sense. He's saying it exists, but Sanjay says that he's being heated up by these weapons. So listen to the whole interview and try and get through it. Let's see. Surge L says, I suspect we're going to see this more and more often, real and imagined. Norseman Bushcrafting, the Pajit Files. Hermosa Beach, good work, Stephan. He will never suspect us now. Try and make a joke out of it. Some faggot says, sound, and that's actually the guy's name. I'm not making a joke. Sounds like he's schizophrenic. And that got a lot of likes right there. That's scary. That's scary. That's very scary. The insufferable tool, gangstalking, is a common complaint in schizophrenia. This is likely the case here. Joni Bologna says, still more believable than Dr. Ford. Irrefutable Australian, I feel sad for this man. Bots for Russia, this is painful to listen to. It's just mumbling, can't understand what he's saying. Kung Fu, even though this guy sounds like his problem is more mental, does anyone believe government experimentation on people ended with MK Ultra? And no, it has not. And I hope nobody believes that, because that's insane to think that it just ended with MK Ultra and now everything's hunky dory. And contractors, universities, hospitals, the CIA, naval intelligence, Air Force intelligence aren't working on human experimentation. Would be silly, to say the least. Vahid M, this guy is not husband material. So this is somebody making fun of us. Representative Alpha. Let's talk to a gangstalking schizo today. Let's see what Stephan can make of him. David Dickey. Within the first 10 seconds, it's apparent this person is paranoid schizophrenic, which is complete insanity. So the big blue violence. Weaponized microwaves have gotten a lot of plausibility in the last few years, specifically systems that cause concussion-like symptoms and inject words into people's heads. Google U.S. diplomat's microwave gun. You'll see several articles that validate the technology existing. That being said, I think gangstalking is a very unlikely scenario given the amount of resources you need to 24/7 stalk somebody. And I left a comment on that one. Let me go down to my comment on that one. Oh, did I? Thought I did. Did I? Yeah. The big blue violence. Much of it is automated, and many compartmentalized agencies chipping in their little percentage, and there is a lot of money made off of the surveillance and technology. So it's not really a use of resources, it's feeding a bunch of businesses. This is what people have to understand. They're like, why would people use a bunch of resources on you normal people? There's a lot of resources. These are businesses. DHS fusion centers, they get money from the government to exist. More money funneled into them. These contractors, they're advancing the technology. They're getting data about the brain and the nervous system. This data is worth money. So they're using resources as a business to make a whole lot more money on developments and advancement of the weapons, and research and development on human personalities, human brains, and stuff like that. So the arguments of, oh, you just want to feel important, that is a stupid argument. And I've gone over many things of why that's a stupid argument. Also, the argument of they're using so many resources. They're not just using resources without a return. All these contractors, and they don't do that. They don't just use resources for no return. Information is power. We need to understand that in the society. They're getting a lot of information on human beings and groups, personalities, and things like that, just to name one thing that they're working on. They're getting information on how brain activity relates to DNA function in human beings and some protocols. This knowledge, when up the pyramid, they have so much knowledge about human beings that they can microwave a bunch of us, a good percentage of people in every country, and get away with it, with people saying that doesn't exist. That tells you how much they fucking know about us, and they're learning more. And if they can do this, and there's a lot of people calling us crazy and stuff like that, and we're having a hard time, just getting awareness out. Let's talk about the murder stopping. They know a lot about how we work, what people will believe and what they won't believe. We don't want them to know anymore. We got to shut this down. When I say they, the powers that be, our hierarchy, our oligarchy, whatever you want to call it. And it doesn't stop with the Pentagon, in the CIA. Those aren't the top dogs. And there's CFR, and then there are leaders from every country. Not necessarily the UN, but people above the UN, and then very wealthy families. We live in an oligarchical world. They're pulling a lot of strings, whether people want to know that or not, because there's cooperation and competition with directed energy weapons research in different countries. There's a certain competition between the United States and Russia, but if I went to Russia, the United States is going to get people in Russia to actually help to target me, because there's a global cooperation, because it's a global system too. Global, and so each state is testing out their directed energy weapons. They're getting data on the brain and nerve system. They're advancing these weapons individually. They have their own secrets, but then there's stuff that is known by everybody using the directed energy weapon systems that is not something that each country is hiding, which they do cooperate on globally. You ask me how this works, I don't know, but I know that's how it works. There's global cooperation, and then state or country competition. They're doing both of those things are going on in our world. So YouTube username 1, it's testing on the guinea pig for later widespread use on anyone that is anti-establishment. I think there's a little bit of truth in that. They go after non-compliant people. I sell surveillance gear, and I hear people like this all the time. It's so sad. Okay, well, that's making me depressed listening to these. A balance of comments, but the comments that really scare me are the ones that's like, this guy is clearly schizophrenic, and they obviously have not looked into any of this weaponry. And then to end the video, let's just go back to this doctor who actually works with this doctor who actually does this, James D'Adorno, saying that microwaves, or electromagnetic pulses were used in Cuban embassy attack. And then Americans and many other citizens in other states are saying their heads being pulsed by microwaves or electromagnetic pulses. They're saying it. It's out. The information's out. The jury is done. It's deliberated, and people are still like saying, "Oh, well, this doesn't exist. These people are crazy or whatever." Insane. Newsflash: the world is insane. Let's bring it back in, connect some dots, and stop the mass murder going on in different countries. Let's do that, because my family would appreciate it. I know a lot of other targeted individual families would appreciate it. And then it's even for people who it's not happening to. It's a lottery system. If you have to go in for surgery, you could be implanted, and then you're a part of this, and then you're being attacked. Do you want to come up against, like, if one of the guys? Let me find a comment. I'll go back to that comment. Let's see. White Raven says these energy weapons are real, not from Star Trek. So there's a lot of good comments, and people know that's going on. I'll just go back up to this one because I kind of just wanted to make a point. Yeah, the David Dickey, within the first, and he's not, I guess he's not being really mean, but he's being ignorant. There are a lot of comments that are like, these people are lunatics and stuff like that. So if there's a comment where somebody's saying these people are lunatics, and that's just a normal person in society who doesn't know about this, God forbid it ever happens to you, because you're going to have some butthole going, hey, you're going to have some butthole going, you're a lunatic, and you're crazy, these crazy gang stalkers, when something just happened to you. So God forbid it happens to any of you guys saying that kind of stuff. All right, guys, I think I'm going to end it on that. Go check out the entire interview in its entirety, I like Stephan Mollineux. He's smart on a lot of issues, but it's not about cognitive intelligence here. It's about information. So this is a prime example. A very cognitively intelligent, logical person who doesn't think it's happening because he doesn't have the information. Because it's national security, it's hidden. So and he probably hasn't, he's looked into it a little bit maybe, but not actually researched, the hardcore evidence of these defense agency articles. I mean, I don't think it's defense agency articles, but it's, National Defense Magazine. I mean, come on. Defense Systems Information Analysis Center. That's what this is coming from, and they're talking about neuroweapons tech. They're just putting it out there. They're talking about it because they're not really worried. Mainstream media, if mainstream media talked about it, because a lot of people watch that, then they'd be in trouble. But a little Defense Systems Information Analysis magazine, which a lot of people aren't going to see, they'll talk about it. They'll talk about it in certain places. We have got to scour the internet and other places for those places where they are talking about it in the open and they don't think anybody's going to see it, and get it out to the people. All right, guys. So I'm going to end it on that. I really love you guys out there. I hope y'all aren't. I know that people are just going through hell. But I have to say, I hope that you're finding some comfort. We've just got to find a way to keep going, and we've got to hope. And I'm banking on miracles. I'm just going to do whatever God's will is. He puts it in my heart to make these videos to get the truth out. I could get cancer or something, and I could get cancer or something and die. And just like my grandfather said, even though he slay me, I will trust in him. I will trust in the good in this world. And I will trust in a good God. And I will trust in a silent majority. And even some of the people in some of these agencies in the government who are good and they are trying to turn things around. I don't know all the answers, but I will trust in good, and I will trust in God, and I will go until I can go no more. And I know all you guys out there are doing the same thing. So it's a big mountain. It's a big mountain, and we can just do what we have the resources to do right now. Try and think of better things, coming up as we, make more ground. All right, guys. So I love y'all. God bless and protect all of you and your families. God bless and protect all those watching this video and everybody out there, non-TIs and TIs alike, who want to make this world sane again. I know it's never been really sane, but to make it at least more bearable. Y'all know what I mean. All right. I'll see you guys on the next one. Thanks for watching.